Can everyone see this introduction to Matlab
Yes,
page?
yes.
All right, good. So welcome to the Matlab day. So today we'll be talking about loading Matlab modules and site installed Matlab packages. We'll teach you how to create your environment for Matlab. So that's like creating your profile. We'll teach you how to install Matlab packages with the add-ons manager. We'll teach you a couple of different ways to write batch scripts running in Matlab, both within and out, both from within the Matlab command line or GUI and from a Slurm script. We'll teach you how to use Matlab in parallel mode, how to use GPUs with Matlab, and at the very end, we'll have a brief session on Matlab for machine learning. So we'll talk about best practices for using Matlab at UPPMAX, HPC2N, and looks like I forgot to add and LUNARC. That's a goof. We'll talk about toolboxes and add-ons and how to get the best HPC performance with Matlab. We will not be covering much in the way of Matlab coding, except for what is needed to run a batch job or what is needed to do parallelization. And we won't cover the other clusters in Sweden, but there are a few others that have Matlab permissions that you can potentially apply for. The exercises are in this tar.gz file, and you can download them just by going to your command line and changing directories to wherever you want your working directory to be. And then you just type wget, all one word, and then this link. Or the other way is that if you're on Rackham or Kebnekaise, I guess that doesn't apply to you, you could also copy the project from a local repository. So you'll download with wget, you'll untar it with tar-xzvf. You can omit the v if you want, if you don't want a whole bunch of stuff in your command line. But the X is necessary for extract, the Z is necessary because of this .gz suffix, and the F is just so that you can give it a file name. And you should do this in your personal project folder if you've already set one up. Or if you're at LUNARC, since LUNARC has relatively large home spaces, you can put these exercises in that folder. And you should check and see that there are 4 folders for 4 different languages with the tree command and a couple of, anyway. So here's our preliminary schedule. We've already done the login session. That was just to help people get logged into their clusters. Right now, of course, we're going over the syllabus. So in about 5 minutes or so, we'll get going on the introduction to MATLAB in general, and then a little bit later I'll talk about loading modules and running MATLAB codes. 10:50 we have a break for 15 minutes. Then Brigitte will talk about the Slurm job scheduler and MATLAB and how they interact and how to make them work together. 12 o'clock we'll have a lunch break. And we'll be back at 1 p.m. to discuss how to use schedule Slurm jobs within the MATLAB GUI or within the MATLAB GUI and a few other aspects of using the GUI for batch jobs. So that will be with Pedro and myself. Then Pedro will go on and talk about parallel and multi-threaded functions in MATLAB. We'll have another break at 1:50 p.m. That one will only be 10 minutes. We'll continue with parallel and multi-threaded functions for another half hour. Then Björn will present how to install add-ons from the add-on manager. We'll have another 15-minute coffee break at 2:50 p.m. And then let me reload that. Then we'll have a three-way simultaneous session. So if we have UPPMAX users, we'll send you to one breakout room. We'll send other people to a different breakout room for LUNARC, and the same for HPC2N. I'll be handling the LUNARC session, and we'll be talking about MATLAB with the on-demand desktop. There will be a short summary at about 15:35, evaluation at 15:40, Q&A, a little bit on Q&A for a few minutes towards the end, and we'll end around 4. So let's see, any questions so far? Is anyone here besides, please? All right. So I think I will go ahead and get started with the general introduction to MATLAB. It's a numerical computing environment and a 4th generation programming language. So what do I mean by 4th generation? That's sort of a paradigm in the sense that when we talk about generations of coding language, we sort of talk about how abstracted they are from the generations are like how abstracted they are from human readable languages. So a lot of languages that you're familiar with would be considered third. A lot of popular languages are more considered 3rd generation, like Python and R and Julia. But MATLAB is sort of considered 4th generation because it's designed to help write code for you with the implementation of some extra GUI options, and I'll show it a little bit in the parallel session or the simultaneous session. So MATLAB was developed by MathWorks. It allows matrix manipulation. That's the original function of it, the original purpose. You can plot functions with it. You can implement algorithms for machine learning, or you can implement lots of different algorithms. It might be something as simple as doing some basic data cleaning on a table, or something as complicated as setting up a whole bunch of different machine learning algorithms and having them run all at once. You can create user interfaces with it, and although this is difficult, you can interface with programs in other languages. I mean, some languages are easier than others. Python in particular is MATLAB is more friendly with Python than most other languages. Although it's technically numeric only, there is an optional toolbox that uses the MooPad symbolic engine. and that allows you to use computer algebra. And that lets you do symbolic math. So instead of writing like, 1 + 1 = 2, you are allowed to work in A + B = C and have it print out the letters and the variables in a way that doesn't require you to have given those variables values. There are a lot of really nice features of MATLAB. It's a low-code interactive environment, or interactive development environment. We shortened that to IDE a lot. Many common data import methods, analysis techniques, plotting formats, and even some AI and machine learning techniques can be run from menus and GUIs instead of having to be explicitly coded. And in fact, when you click those GUI menu options, it's actually generating code for you in the background, and you can view that code once you set everything up. And that way, when you save that code to a script, you can send those scripts to other people, and they can reproduce what you've done they can reproduce what you've done on their end. And so you can distribute the code without having to, you can distribute the code. And MATLAB also has a rich library of toolboxes and add-ons for lots of different STEM disciplines, especially modeling and simulations, but of course not limited to that. And all of these add-ons are written and tested by professionals, or at least the vast majority that I could see. There's also automatic multi-threading. This is kind of a double-edged sword, particularly if you're on a shared resource. But at least on your own computer, this could be, if you're within your own contained environment, this can be very nice. The ability to set, you have the ability to set cluster configurations and parallelization settings graphically. So that means you can, if you're in the graphic user interface, the GUI, you can, instead of having to know all of the commands that you need to type offhand, you can go, it's not the most intuitive interface, but you can still go up to a menu option and set all of the things like how long the code is supposed to run, how many threads it needs, and so forth in a GUI with like drop-down menus and or boxes for all of the information. So all you have to remember is what values you actually need for the resources. It's also full documentation available straight from the command line, from the MATLAB command line. All you have to do is type like help and then the name of the function. Although this does require internet access. Of course, MATLAB also has some drawbacks. The main one is that it's proprietary software, so you need to buy a license and sign up for an account. Many add-ons require their own separate license. That being said, if you're at a university, a lot of universities have a license that covers all of their students. So you can sign up for an account for free. With respect to the two-language problem, MATLAB, even more so than Python, is geared towards usability rather than, it's more geared towards usability rather than, so the two-language problem is that one can optimize for either performance or ease of prototyping, but not both. And by ease of prototyping, I mean, how easy and intuitive is it for a person to come up to think up the commands that they need and figure out how to run them. So Python was written to be very human readable, so it's more on the prototyping side, and MATLAB is even more so. in the fact, because it's geared towards being able to do a lot of stuff with GUI menu options rather than having to type out the actual code. The cost of that is that it can be slow. The way that MATLAB automates multi-threading means that it can and will hog a full node unless you explicitly tell it not to. And the way you do that is you set, if you're going to run it at the command line, you have to set this single comp thread flag as an option upon startup. And the final major drawback is that the built-in plotting functions generate only very low resolution raster graphics with no anti-aliasing. A lot of times these are not suitable for publication, although I'm sure there are add-ons that can improve the situation. Well, it's not quite true that they have no anti-aliasing. They have no anti-aliasing for lines. For shading, they do. If you want to learn more about MATLAB, there is documentation at the HPC, at pretty much every HPC resource. Certainly UPPMAX, HPC2N, and LUNARC. And these are all the links. And you can also find the official documentation for MATLAB here. Oops. Save and exit. Go away. So this is kind of what the basic MATLAB site looks like. You can go to documentation, examples, and you can search for functions like, I don't know, park cluster. We'll be talking about that one later. And so all the documentation starts with the syntax, and then it describes the various arguments and the way the various expressions, or what the various expressions mean. Just to give an example. All right. There are also a few, the main way that you access MATLAB training materials is that if you have a MathWorks account and it's less than 2 years old, you can access free MATLAB self-paced online training courses. I did a bunch of those just a few months ago. Students at any academic institution with a campus-wide license can use their university email addresses to create a free account and access these resources. And they're pretty good. They're, speaking from personal experience, they're very easy to get through. They walk you through very small steps at a time. There's also the Mondays with MATLAB lecture series. This is offered every September, and these are sort of the best introductory lecture series. These and other events are posted on the MathWorks company event website. Mondays with Matt. Ooh, what happened there? So Mondays with MATLAB consists of 3 introductory lectures, which are the Introduction to MATLAB, Introduction to Parallel Programming with MATLAB, and then a hands-on session at your let me refresh this, at your local institution. I guess that just was left off. If you have an account, you will be automatically signed up for the MathWorks mailing list, so you will be informed of when the Mondays with MATLAB lectures are coming up, and you'll also be notified of upcoming webinars and some other featured packages. The webinars, outside of the Mondays with MATLAB lecture series, the webinars, they cover a broad range of topics, but they typically tend to be on the more advanced side. And as I said, MATLAB is also available at some other of the at other NAISS centers. You have MATLAB at PDC and MATLAB at Norrköping. I think that's Norrköping. Oh no, sorry, Linköping. So that's the National Supercomputing Center at Linköping. So key points, MATLAB is fourth generation language with an interactive environment that can generate code that handles common coding problems for you. And parallelization is very easy with the graphic user interface. Just be careful to set the single comp thread flag when starting at the command line, or it may hop the nodes. Any questions so far?